I want to hear from Asim Khan, who is a former president of Imran Khan's party, the PTI, in the UK. He's a technologist by profession, as well as a poet. Asim, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Why was the US so keen on removing Prime Minister Imran Khan?
I think there has always been, historically speaking, attempts by US in various regions, places in Latin America during the Cold War era as well. The forms of interventions were different. Sometimes it's direct and sometimes indirect. And if you come back to Pakistan and the region Pakistan is in Southeast Asia, and there's a lot of things that are happening. I mean, in terms of the foreign policy, in terms of the shift. You look at China, you look at China-Russia relationship, Russia there, then obviously the Middle Eastern countries. So there is a lot of, I think, emphasis as well that US feels after departure from Afghanistan that for it to have any semblance of any role in that region, I think they really need to sort of kind of go after Pakistan as well. Now, with that sort of view, I think that the whole thing has sort of came around that Pakistan is trying to first to have an independent foreign policy, secondly to have a great and dynamic working relationship with China and Russia. Pakistan has always emphasized, Prime Minister Khan at that time was emphasizing that I think the time has come, instead of being part of one or unipolar world and all have our eggs with the US, we need to diversify our foreign policy as well. And it makes it easier for the rest of the world as well. Because then in that case, we do not have that perception of Pakistan being seen in the US camp. So with this balanced policy, as the others do, we are trying to do the same as well. So I think with these kind of inclinations and historical background, the US has had pretty extensive experience of removing governments, interference, CIA covert operations, and all sorts of forms and shapes as well. So that's the view.
How do you assess this change? Is it an internal coup d'etat or an external regime change operation?
I think it's, I mean, for these things to happen, basically, I mean, we got to understand that we are in 21st century. We are in a global village. We have technology at a very fast pace. So the ideas and the of things like that is always kind of I would say, a working partnership in that sense, that people do obviously have those tendencies. I mean, it's not just like that, the hardcore traditional, the way it used to be in the past. So I think there has been, I mean, since Nawaz Sharif is sitting here, and that kind of is giving a huge inclination to that viewpoint that he must have been talking to all sorts of people as well, people from the US and other sort of countries as well, and then his party, and then the way the coalition actually got all together, covered up the vote of no confidence. So I think it was both external and internal.
You've just come back from Pakistan and you'll be returning soon. How do people there see what has happened? What do they think is going to happen next?
I think it's kind of the first time the people of Pakistan are actually realizing that actually the politics of Pakistan has to change, not just in view of what's happened in the last few 2 months with Prime Minister Khan. I think they're finally realizing that the governments they bring in, the governments that want to do things on their behalf, those governments then don't. All those things, all the secrecy that is kept between them and the state. So people are actually getting slightly frustrated. They're asking questions, and why not? At the same time, they want this sort of stability where there is no, I mean, we do not want violence, or we do not want to follow the model which was followed up in Tunisia or Egypt or all the other sort of the spring revolutions. I mean, we want to have an economic stability and a revolution in that. But people are asking questions. I mean, you're going to be surprised that I belong from the rural belt, and in the rural belt, there are a lot of people who are asking questions. People of all ages. It's not just the youth. So they are asking questions. So basically, the kind of awareness has set in pretty deep that uh, people want change where the institutions are actually respect each other, working with each other, and for the delivery and the benefit of the people of Pakistan, not for their own good and not for their own benefit.
The new Prime Minister of Pakistan and his son are both out on bail. I'm sorry, I have to laugh. Both out on bail, charged with very serious criminal offences. How can that happen? How can you appoint someone as Prime Minister who's out on bail?
I think it works in Pakistan because our legal systems are we take huge amount of time and effort. Are morally speaking, it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be at all. I mean, if any politician or any party that has any even a whisper of a sort of an accusation on them, they should not be. But this is Pakistan, where all sorts of things have taken place before as well, and this is the Pakistan we want to uh, get away from and have proper concept of transparency and accountability. So, in relation to uh, Shehbaz Sharif and his son in Punjab, I think the courts have still not. The cases are going on.
Finally, as a supporter of Imran Khan, what do you want to achieve? An election soon, is that it?
I think the call of the party is actually that there needs to be a fresh mandate where people can exercise their will. Now, obviously, there are lots of issues as well that these guys obviously want to, as per my view, that they would want to delay the elections into to the next year. I don't think they would want to have the elections this year because they want to carry some the changes which we had brought in for the election rules. I think they want to reverse it. At the same time, they want to gather some stability because there's a lot of heat at the moment against them. So if they actually open up the elections now, in 3 months' time, they know that Khan will actually sway with two-third majority. So they want to delay that. But at the same time, they want to try to have some form of stability. I mean, with IMF negotiations and so on and so forth. At the same time, the law and order situation has to be maintained as well, because we do not want an outright violence and things like that. So it's pretty delicate, I would say, and there has to be some sanity to be prevailed as well.